Hey everyone, this is Rocket from We Learn Chess, and long time as usual in between videos, and we'll see how we're doing here. Played a longer time control because I'm really out of practice. I hope he doesn't play this Vienna Gambit. Yeah, I never quite figured out what the deal is with that. Well, if I play this check, he can just block and protect that pawn. What if I take first and check? Is he going to play the queen out immediately here? That's kind of annoying. But I think I want this square for my knight, right? Because at some point, I want to be able to play this and hit this bishop and protect this square at the same time. So I think you have to take that. I mean, I'm not going to try to hold on to it. It's like a King's Gambit, I guess, right? But I don't really want to play it like a King's Gambit because I don't usually have my knight out like this. It's a really frustrating, really frustrating opening to face in my first game back in a while. Actually, it's not my first game back in a while. I played some 10-minute games last week, and I did okay. I did okay. All right, so what am I doing here? Like, I don't care about the pawn. I'm not going to try to protect it. He's getting good development, which I really don't like. I feel like there must be, I mean, maybe I should try to hold on to it. Because if I just let him take it and he castles, he's got all kinds of development. He didn't even lose a pawn. I mean, he weakened his king a little bit. He's also going to have the f-file, so he's going to want to attack me on this f7 square. Maybe I should consider castling long. Maybe even something like just play the bishop out and challenge the strong piece. He doesn't have a knight here, so he can't interpose the knight. Like sometimes in an Italian game or something like that, you'll see in order to avoid a bishop exchange, they might play the knight there to be annoying. He can't do that here. If he takes it, I take, he could actually, no, he can't jump right in right away because this pawn is getting in the way. So like sometimes if you trade this bishop too early, he takes, I take, and then this is kind of weak. So like the knight could come normally if there's nothing in the way, and the queen coming pretty quickly too here, either to attack the pawn or to attack the king. So that gives me some ideas. I could go for this bishop immediately, but I don't want to move that piece again. I could just develop, let him take that. Okay, so let's start with if I just develop, he takes it, I guess, probably, or castles. I don't want him to start moving his central pawns. Maybe here, castles, castles, but he's got a lot of pieces kind of geared towards the side, and he's going to be really comfortable playing that. So I kind of like the idea of challenging him. So let's also look at holding onto the pawn. Holding onto the pawn looks a little bit like a game I don't want to play right now because he could go after it right away. And again, he's got pieces over here. So even though his king's a little bit open, he's got enough pieces where he's attacking. So still, that's probably the correct move. From like if the computer were looking at it, probably because it's so materialistic. But I like the idea of maybe doing this. And if he takes it, obviously I take back. And he is going to be able to go after it, but it's going to take him one more move. Because he's going to have to take that pawn first. And that should give me enough time to get my queen out to both protect this weak point and castle long if I want. That also might give me a chance to oppose the f-file, I guess, if he's on the f-file at some point. But I kind of like ruining his fun with that bishop because that's kind of one of the more aggressive pieces that he would have during the game. And it develops a piece, right? So he doesn't have to take it, obviously. He could play over here. He could just leave it there. He could leave it there, and if I bust up his pawn chain still, he can have really nice control over this d5 square and try to plant a piece there. The knight would not naturally come out there. Okay, well. Okay, so he's going to go for that. So I'm thinking of castling queenside. If I play queen f6, which is my first choice because it hits this, and if you were to try to break with the pawn right away, I would just take his bishop, obviously. It protects this weak pawn, and also it slows down this e5 advance in general, because even if he protects this bishop, like moves it back at some point, and he wants to play here, then I've got enough piece control for now. So I do like that. Obviously I could develop, but he could push that right away. So I'm gonna try to stay consistent with my plan here. Now he could move this over here and prevent me from castling long, but then I feel like I move the queen over and I can challenge that bishop, and it shouldn't be a problem, because then he's getting rid of some pieces, and I don't know if it's really going to give me an advantage, actually. Oh, now that I think about it, yeah, I'm hitting this too. And so, okay, now I could prevent this idea, but then maybe castles and his rook is opposite my queen. So maybe I could allow that. I could play bishop here, and that way if he plays here, I move the queen, and he takes, I can take back with the knight. I'm also opposite this square here. Kind of like that idea. What else? I could move here right away, actually, and just kind of prophylactically get out of that rook. He's not going to castle long, I don't think. I kind of have him looking at that square. I'm looking at that square at the moment. Okay, so here, if he castles, I do something like this. Takes, you might be able to do some kind of sacrifice. I don't know. I'm going to do this. I don't know if it's... it feels a little awkward, because my queen's in the way of my knight, and now my bishop's in the way of the knight. I don't really want to play knight h6. But my idea is to just kind of get out of this. If he does that, if he plays knight here, I guess I could play queen over here. I think I'm going to castle. Oh, I don't know. Maybe now is a good time to do this. I'm playing with a little bit of fire here, being on the same file. I will not walk into an immediate tactic. I don't think I am. However, what about e5? Takes, maybe takes with the knight. I think I'm still okay. I'd like to play g5 and then put my queen on g6. That'd be really nice, but I don't think I'm going to have that luxury. I kind of see this going here. That I'm surprised at. I thought he would go for me immediately. So, okay, if I play g5, can he just take it? No, right? I mean, he could sacrifice one piece and then do some discovery, but what is he really going to get out of that? Nothing too special, right? I can play the queen over right away. I could even castle, which might be the smarter thing. But if we're going to be opposite sides castling in this game, then I should do that. This also gives me the option of going back here, which I kind of like, because it keeps an eye on the square. Like, he has to at least develop the knight before. Probably he would develop the knight this way so that he can push the pawns. I just don't think he can sack there, because in the end I just take with the queen. And then if he does move the bishop, I mean, it's a little annoying if he puts the bishop here, because he's kind of looking at this square. So then I do want to move the queen so that my knight can develop, and I'm out of that, yeah. So do I want to stay on this diagonal? It looks at this square. It does not prevent this push in the middle, though. Kind of looks at this. But if I'm on a light square, I can complement my bishop. Although if I'm on g6 and I push this, then he's got this knight move with a tempo. I can go here, play there. That's not too bad, though, because, like, let's imagine the queen's here and I push here at some point. He does get the tempo. I go here. At the moment, he cannot jump in here because of this. And then, if he were to protect the knight or something like that, then I would actually be looking to snap it off with the bishop. I also like being on a light square because I don't want to be opposite the bishop. But if I go here and then he immediately tries to break it open, I could respond with pushing, keeping it closed. All right, I'm going to kind of go with my instinct. I want to get off the file with the rook. I want to complement my dark square bishop by being on light squares. I want to obviously develop my knight, although it is a little annoying when it's on f6 that he's kind of always potentially. So I don't want him to push e5 when I've got a piece here, because then I do actually have to damage my structure a little bit. This is interesting. So if I take, he takes, and he's looking here. So takes about here. Just challenge it immediately. Would he push here? Take him. Yeah, he would lose a pawn, but he'd kind of be opening me up. I don't really want to allow him to damage my structure. I don't really want to play king d7 and then have to take with the king. That seems silly. So another option that I often forget is, like, when your knight is challenged, sometimes you can not trade it and you can actually take a square in front here. Because before, the knight would have potentially gotten hit right away with the pawn push, but now that's not going to happen. I do have to watch this pawn, actually. That's another reason to take that knight off. Because he's got some aggressive pieces, but I'd be getting rid of my defender, though. That's the only kind of annoying thing there. Because takes, and even after something like that, he could back up and stay on this diagonal, and then it's hard for me to queenside castle without making an awkward move first. So if I let him take and he damages the pawn structure, can I kind of play with my king in the middle and try to use this little structure here as my castling? Takes, still maybe bishop here. Then I'm playing the same move anyway, and I have a damaged structure. So I'm kind of looking back at this move again. I'm a little annoyed by always having to watch over this pawn, though. And I never want to push it. I think I want to get rid of this knight. I'm gonna take a chance that my slow castling is not going to be a huge problem, because I'm taking off some pieces. And I'm going to try this just to challenge this immediately. If he stays on this diagonal, then I don't really want to move a pawn in front of my king. I mean, I could castle and let him take it, and then that's really dicey, though. Huh. Okay, so is he going to play e5, maybe? e5. Okay. So he wants to come here, maybe. So if castles and knight here, then he's hitting this. I move over. I don't really see a problem so much there. I think I should get my king out of the middle. And he does kind of have open lanes for his pawns here, and has a couple major pieces behind, so that might be a little bit dicey. But I'm also here. Okay, so obviously I have to go here, I think, and then knight here, so I still might have to play an awkward move. But I don't think I have a choice on that one. I do, maybe, right? But okay. I'll wait one move to play it. I'm probably going to have to play it anyway. I don't have time to, unless he waits a move, I don't have time to maneuver. Plus, I don't know if I want my knight on b6, because this pawn push is coming, so. Okay, obviously not a6. I don't think I have any choice. And I don't like that, because I've just had to compromise my queenside structure, and now he's going to come at me with the pawns, and he doesn't have that. He's hitting this. I think he should have went after my pawns right away. So I'm gonna get a tempo to maneuver this knight instead of going this way to get into a nice central square. So again, kind of using that idea where, I mean, he's got the check, but if I play here, oh, actually, that is a problem, right? So if I play here, check, king maybe here, he could take this with check, actually. So I'd have to go here. So then if his knight's here, my knight's here, let's say he moves his queen somewhere where he's attacking the knight. I'd have him move to move my rook, but I would not be able to take his knight, so I'd actually be losing a piece. So on queen g3, there's nowhere for me to hit it there. So I might have to actually waste a move doing this. I don't want to put my king on the diagonal now. He could push this pawn at some point just to open up this diagonal. He probably should, actually. However, if he plays it now, well, maybe he could, actually. If he plays it now, and I play knight here, and he plays the check. Okay. That's interesting. So he's preventing my knight from coming here. I can go here with the idea of coming here. I feel like I need a defender over here, or I need to start pushing my pawns. I don't really want to do this. It's a lot of moves to just sit here where I could get bumped. I could be over here. It's 2 moves. I guess it's not a lot of moves, is it? Am I even considering that? I really don't want to start moving these kinds of pawns. That looks like a really bad idea. So what's this idea? He wants to come in here maybe, and then go here, the knight, and hit this. I mean, I could go here. The idea of trading queens, because amazingly his king is safer here. Maybe not amazingly. I mean, if I could get my knight to c8, I'd be protecting this square, but it's not really. I mean, I'd have to go like here, 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 here. That's even, and that's not even the right square. I'd have to go, sorry, here, here, here if his knight is not still there, and then here. That's too much. So I'm going to break one of these rules that you're not supposed to break, and I'm going to move pawns in front of my king in an opposite sides castling position, which is a bad idea. He should probably still go here and try to get his pieces over. He should start pushing his pawns, I guess. But who am I to say what he should do, because he is... Okay, so he's got this square. I just have to go back, maybe. I'm playing like such a wuss here. I like to have my rook opposite his queen, but this also takes away this idea. I can start breaking up my pawns like immediately. Yeah. I mean, he should have something after the way I played, because I'm playing so passively. I'm just responding to his threats. I feel like out of the opening, I should have been quite fine. Yeah. I did allow that, didn't I? I can still take it. because he's hitting my queen when he takes this anyway. So he's going to win an exchange. And the only thing now about this is that I do have my 3 remaining pieces opposite his king. So my only chance here is to generate some attack. He could actually consider just sacking back at some point if he ever really did get in trouble. Like, let's just say I push this pawn, and he just takes this. Takes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, he's up material. And my king is wide open. Actually, that would come with check. So I'm going to anchor this guy here. If I anchor here, pushes over here, he can bring the rook in. So it's probably good that I leave the pawn here. I don't really want to put my rook here because then I'm kind of, yeah, then I'm inviting some kind of push there and I'd lose material. So pawn push, rook takes with check, maybe queen here. He can just move his rook over, he's still winning. So I think I'm going to have to do this, even though it's probably going to be, these squares are going to be a big problem. But that looked a little too easy. So, no, I don't know. He can start doubling and tripling on the file here. Yeah. So now what I could do is, I mean, this pawn's a goner. I'm not going to defend it. Something like this to try to pry things open. The knight's got this at the moment. And I mean, my king's wide open. I'm down material, and he's ready to trade off things here. So I don't really have a choice. I'm just gonna. All right, so if he takes the h-pawn, then I can go here. Again, he could take back, but I wonder if I should actually take this, check here. Yeah, eventually I lose my queen, huh? I could go here. That looks like a really bad idea, but I might have to. But I like the idea of like being opposite his king. It's not really about the pawn. It's just with then the idea of going here. But maybe I should just block this file with the tempo and the queen. So if I go here, I imagine he takes it back. Takes. Again, I'm down material, but the only thing I don't like about that is that this diagonal then opens at some point because he can push this. So the alternative here, it'd be nice to take that with the queen, if I could, so that I'm looking at this square for potential checks, but he's got that square so covered it probably doesn't matter. So if I take this and I'm up to the queen, am I really doing anything? Probably not. All right, so I'm assuming he can just sack back and he's still better. And he's still at material, he's got the initiative, he's got still even the safer king, even though it's got one pawn because I destroyed my own structure like a moron. And so if he takes, I mean, do I have a choice really? Yeah, I'll take that back. Yeah, so something like check and then, okay, yeah, that's another, oh, that's actually really a problem. Okay, well, he can double check, huh? Double check. Yeah, if I play here, double check, and then I have to go here. He can check in here. I would have to go here. He can check here. I'm getting checked with pawns probably, like over here, pawn here. I might be getting mated. So Can I get in the way and still protect the rook? No, I can't. Okay, well, I'm probably getting mated here, but I don't know if there's really any, there's probably no way out of it, honestly. And then come back with the queen, and force me over here, check me with the pawn. I mean, his king's sort of, it's like, I need like 2 moves to create a threat. So I need 1 move to create it, but then I need to execute it, and that's too long. He could even do something like play this here now, and then I mean, there's probably I would check here first, right? Check here. I guess maybe I would have to go here, and then he could look at this pawn. Not exactly mating me. If I get a move and I can play here, I'm looking at this and this, so it kind of makes him a little honest. He's also got a passed pawn. So he doesn't necessarily have to checkmate me to win this game, but the way he's playing from the start, he's like an attacking player, so probably he's going to try to do that. So maybe my chance would be to try to catch him in that, like if he thinks he's got to win by checkmating me. Maybe I can counterattack just in time. I don't know if there's a better square I can go to where I'm both defending and attacking. Probably not. He's on this diagonal, so. And actually, so, yeah, queen here doesn't necessarily do this, but it's still probably good to have the battery set up so that it keeps his queen protecting the rook for the moment. That's interesting. So is he going to try to do something like come over here? I think he's trying to set up a mate. He did block his queen, actually. He blocked his queen from communicating here. So I don't have a lot of time, so I'm gonna try this. I mean, he's still connected to it, but if he wants to get on a light square and check me, which he might want to at some point, then he's gonna have to. I was surprised at that move. It seemed like that was like a lot lengthier way of trying to mate me. I obviously don't want to trade any pieces at this point because my only chance now is to either counterattack with like a mate or find some kind of perpetual, and probably my better chances are perpetual. If I go on a light square, he can check me with a pawn, and he also has queen checks. And right now he's disconnected from his rook, so I want to go to the dark square. I don't want to give him any checks. And actually, if he checks here with a... Okay, if he checks with the pawn, takes... He actually doesn't have a check on the dark square there either. He has a check with the rook, though. Okay, hold on. Here, check. I could still go to the light square, but check here. That's a check. Oh, that's actually a problem. That might actually be the problematic move. So if I just go to a light square, yeah, he could check me again. He'll still be disconnected from his rook. But if I go to a light square, he also has checks with these pawns. And I really don't want to start like here. One of those is probably more accurate, like check here. Forcing back in here. Actually, maybe this one's more accurate. So like here, check here. Then if I go back here, then maybe the check. Okay, I'm gonna... I don't know if my calculations were accurate there, but it did feel like moving this pawn was going to open up a lateral check from the rook, which was going to be a real problem. This is obviously still, I think, yeah, here, and he can attack here. But I'm just going to have to hope at this point. Now if he plays this check, instead of taking with the pawn, I could try to take it with this pawn, actually. So again, I've got to at least get a perpetual out of this. Am I mating him? Check. Over, check in the back rank, over, check with the queen. I could actually just take his rook, too. Maybe. If he's not like checkmating me on this square or something. Checkmating me here. We're on a pretty sizable increment, so I'm down to a bullet time, but I've got the increment, so hopefully it's none of that. I mean, I've obviously should lose this game, but if he gives me one move, not one move where I probably won't be able to take his rook because he can threaten mates. Okay. Okay, so should I take this to like give myself a square? I don't know. I also want to, oh, I have this check actually. King here. Okay, I don't have time. This feels right, but it's, no, he's looking at my rook too, by the way, actually. There's probably a square for him to go to where he can just look at this, oh no, well, I'm hitting his rook. Check here. I gotta look at the checks. Check here. I guess I'm forced to take it. If he goes somewhere like looking at this pawn, I might have to just let him do it. Well, actually here, yeah, then actually I can mate him, so. Well, he doesn't have to take it actually, does it? Does he? It's not actually a mate if he doesn't take it. But it's got to be, I should be able to save myself there. I still do have this check, actually. It's a shame I don't have a pawn covering this square, but... So he's got 10 minutes to figure it out. I got to kind of pay attention to the options. The other thing is I can cover this pawn with a queen move, but again, I really don't want to... Getting into an endgame is totally lost because this guy just runs. So I do have to either mate him or find a perpetual. Where would the perpetual be? Just with the queen, I guess. I mean, I say before I was saying that perpetual would be more likely just because I didn't think he would let me mate him, but at this point it almost looks like I might have more chances of mating than perpetual because I'm trying to see where the perpetual would be. Yeah. Yeah, now which one to take? I should have decided that. But I don't want to take with the pawn, I know that. Alright, this could be wrong, but if I take this one, then he's got to check here, so I didn't like that. And I kind of have to save some time. I sort of have a little nook here. He's got to be like extremely frustrated at this point because you know, clearly I misplayed it and he had all the initiative. And he still should win, but I mean, even if he puts the queen there now, see, now it's no longer a mate threat, at least not for the moment. There might be, well, at least not an easy one, like a one move mate. Maybe there's forces with the pawns and stuff. He should probably just get my king out of here. Like, just check it. Just give up the pawn and get my king all the way up here. What the heck am I going to do if he starts checking me up here? Let me see. He doesn't have a dark square check, though. That's the thing. If I stay on the dark squares, he doesn't have... I guess he could push this pawn with the idea of playing this check, but it's too slow. So what can he do with the queen? If he... I mean, if he plays here, I'm checking him. But actually, queen here... check, and he moves the king instead of taking it. Obviously, he's not going to take it. But then check here, here, and then he is getting mated, actually, I think. Oh, he can escape here. And then queen takes. Yeah, but then I save it. Then I save it. So I don't think he can... Well, I mean, he could get the queen on this diagonal, actually. So let's say he puts the queen on the diagonal. Because even something like this, just to think, where he's hitting this, then eventually hitting this. And he's protecting this. Do I still do it? Takes. Oh, yeah, I can still mate him that way. Yeah, actually, that doesn't work, putting the queen on the diagonal, right? So you could start to run with the king so that it's not a check. But then I check with the pawn. If he moves the king here, not there. So if he moves the king here, check here, and then I check with the king, check, takes, takes. Yeah, but then having the queen here would be nice. But then he's missing one move because he needs to get the queen on the diagonal. That's one of the reasons I wanted to get the queen off the dark squares before, but I didn't foresee any of this. Obviously, just kind of that he would be disconnected from the rook earlier. But that kind of worked out favorably. So let's see. The only thing I see here is a check, right? So check here. If I go backwards, I could be really asking for it. You know, like he only needs 2 moves to mate me in that case. But again, I should be able to save it in time. But if he does this and I take it, he doesn't have a check on this diagonal. He doesn't have a check with the rook unless he wants to sack the rook. I don't sack the rook, and nah, there's nothing. There's nothing there. So maybe I should actually just take that. In a weird sort of way, my king has got like this odd shelter in the middle, protected by both groups of pawns. And I am actually threatening here to just mate him, or at least wipe a whole lot of stuff off the board. So it should be winning if he doesn't find something, but that's really unfortunate for him. I mean, okay, I think the Vienna Gambit's supposed to be not very good from like whether it's sound, but when people say that, like an opening's unsound, it's just you know, like grandmasters can punish that stuff. Really? You're gonna let me take that rook? What are you doing? Are you mating me somehow? So should I actually take this? Takes. He can't take with there. So boom. Yeah, because if I take this, actually the game goes on, and then my time's running out here. So I'm going to do it this way. I don't know if that's actually right. So he can't take with the rook. He's got to move over. Yeah, and then I do this. I take here. And okay, I'm just going to have to. He's going to get. He can take with the pawn. Doesn't matter, but that's actually might be worse. But I don't think it matters now. Yeah, that was kind of a clever try by him actually, because I could have just taken that rook. But yeah, let's take a look at that. And I can't even remember. Where's the archive? Yeah. Oh, I can do it from here. That's what I was for, computer analysis. And while that's running, I actually don't have my dominant membership anymore, so I'll do a quick one. I can actually throw it over into Lee chess. I've been playing on Lee chess like anonymously sometimes too, but I play a lot of bullet, which is terrible. So that's why I wanted to play this game and see if I could actually do something. I think it was mostly a disaster, so I don't want to look at that. I want to, yeah. I mean here, so okay. If I try to keep that, I really didn't want to deal with either one of these. I guess I could play here. This is like, I mean, I play that Fischer defense against the King's Gambit, and it's a little bit similar, except that your knight isn't here so early. And I feel like the attack's coming faster. That's why I feel like the Vienna Gambit is for somebody who, like, they want to kind of back into a King's Gambit and not let you play whatever it is that you normally play against that. So it's kind of smart and kind of wussy at the same time. Like, if you're going to play an attacking opening right, be a man, just play it. But okay, anyway. So I don't know what the refutation is of this Vienna Gambit, but I didn't really want to get into that position. But if you don't get it, if you don't, like, that's what they say, right? Like, to refute a gambit, you have to accept it and kind of try to maybe hold on to that material. But like with other gambits, like that Halloween Gambit and stuff like that, like you can give back the material and then just be in an almost winning position. Like that's kind of nice, but I don't feel like that's the case here, where like I can just get back the material and be better. In fact, I feel like it'd be worse. So that's why I feel like maybe you have to try to hold on to that. But I was not ready for that kind of game. So, maybe just probably I should just develop normally, because I did play d6 to kind of discourage this. So if I play here, I assume he does this here, and we get this kind of position in my castle. I mean, look at this. He's got this nice bishop. His other piece is already over here. The knight's coming in here. He's got the F file. He can do this kind of standard, regrouping with the knight, the rook lift, or maybe queen over this way. And it's just like, it's so easy for him to play, and it's so difficult for me, not having seen this position much, to like figure it all out. So I didn't really want to go into this either, just because he's probably played this like hundreds of times. And I know that I usually lose against this opening. So, what is this, Albania, this flag? Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't really like that, but man, castling slow is pretty slow. I mean, I could have done it faster, obviously. So I don't know, I didn't think that was a horrible idea what I did. But you did see in the game that, let's see, we had this, that when I played this in the game and he took this pawn is weak, and he was able to go after it a couple times and like get a tempo, and that was enough to really throw me off. And some of my decisions kind of came back to haunt me, where I was like leaving this open, and I had to create weaknesses here. So I think I played that game quite poorly. Not a big surprise. Let's see if there was a way where I could have, maybe not gotten into so much trouble. And so this is not the best move. That's the other thing too, is should I do something like, that can't be right, like push the pawn or something? He can check here, then I can play here. You're supposed to do that? I don't know. Somebody knows how to play against the Vienna Gambit, then leave a comment. I haven't looked at it. I don't know if I've ever looked at it, because it comes up kind of rarely. When it does, I'm always really annoyed by it, because it feels like kind of wrong. But if they're always getting better positions than me, then I guess it can't be wrong, right? So yeah, F5, I guess, is what you're supposed to do. Wow. Yeah. It kind of makes sense, because some of those central tension openings too, sometimes you see 4 pawns, excuse me, opposing each other. Okay, well, I certainly wasn't ready for that, but I'd be really curious to see that. I should throw this in Elite Chess so we can see the variations, but I used to have the ability to do that on chess.com. Yeah, d6 is not very good. g5. Yeah, so again, the computer wants to hold on to this and, say this is the variation that they give. See, I just don't know, like, this is what the computer is giving us the best move, but that doesn't mean that's what the human player is going to throw at you. They might throw some like totally unsound move at you, but if you don't know how to deal with it, you get in a whole world of trouble. And so if he were to do this here, f6, maybe pushing, but then if I push, then he goes. So if you push here, okay, he can't go here, right, because of the check, and that's probably going to be really bad for him. So he's got to go here. And, maybe I go here to protect this pawn. And he probably goes here, or 1 square, whatever. Now he's looking at that. And then I don't really want to defend that pawn. So maybe I go here and put a little bit of pressure on this. Maybe that's how. I don't know. I mean, I didn't really want to deal with that. But the computer variation is this. So the same idea here, putting a little bit of pressure there in case that knight moves. So I guess that's the idea behind h3, is just to stop me from playing that on my own, because sometimes black will play that on his own at some point. Like once he finally gets his king safe, gets situated, then sometimes he can start pushing his pawns on the king side, even if his king's over there. This is starting to look familiar to me as a structure that I would normally have in the King's Gambit when I play the Fisher defense. I have these pawns here. And the knight is usually here, so I would actually feel very comfortable with this if that's the way it happens. I just don't like human players that are really aggressively attacking. Yeah, they might play this, but you got to be ready for what they're really going to play at you, not necessarily what's always like. You should know what's best and try to play what's best, obviously, but that's not often what happens. So you also got to be prepared for playing precisely against imprecise attacks. And I was not really sure what to do against some of the moves that might be imprecise, because I couldn't figure out why exactly they were imprecise. At least not over the board like that. So, okay, so anyway, we're both playing inaccurate moves here, which is not surprising. And then we play a whole bunch of moves that are, well, my queen f6 is not very good apparently, but the rest of the moves are actually pretty good. Best moves according to the computer, or decent. The king h1 felt a little bit slow. I think that's the idea. All this stuff looks like from both sides are pretty good moves here. Computer approves of that. Capture of opposing the bishop, of taking back here. Does not approve of castling. It's not a big surprise. I didn't have to do it there, actually, and I kind of was looking at potentially maybe even parking my king here for a little while, but I didn't like the idea of eventually rooks coming there. But I really didn't have to invite him in so quickly. But if I didn't castle right away, maybe he puts his queen here anyway, and then really I'm not castling, right? So this is an accuracy, I think. It's not an inaccuracy, it's just, what are they saying? What is light gray here? Good, but not great. Okay, then that's best by him. This is not best by me. Best by him. Forced. It's not forced, but it's best. I think it's close to forced. Okay, so yeah, c5, obviously. That was pretty comical, I guess, right? What did the computer want to play here? So knight d7, which I did actually think about, because I was thinking about regrouping here for a while, and I mentioned the idea of, because this knight is here, then at least it's going to take him a move where he can't knock my knight away. So it's actually a nice outpost square for the time being. And it's centralized, so it's a pretty good square. It also takes a look here. Again, it's not a permanent outpost, but it's pretty cool. Also, it protects this square. So this really probably could have changed my position a lot, playing that move. This is the computer variation, hitting the knight. I kind of thought about trying to get the king more safe, but I just didn't like. I figured eventually this was coming and getting on a diagonal, but yeah, I was going to say, I imagine at some point you got to just challenge that file and just try to get the major pieces off the board. Even with both rooks off the board, this is looking like a potential real problem. But okay. Yeah, knight here is a good move. So this is the recommended move. Yeah, to not allow the fork, obviously. That was kind of funny. I forgot that I lost the exchange to it. On top of everything, that I lost the exchange in this game. Okay, well, this obviously looks terrible, but there's a lot of ways to... So this is the best move by the computer. It takes the best move. I didn't have time to take his queen, obviously. It takes mine up too much material. Game over. This was the best move according to the computer. And I think that, yeah, I mean, I understand sort of why that could be good or bad. I mean, I didn't really mind this so much. So that's not the best place to put it. I did actually wonder if I should maybe go here and look at this square. I just kind of, I didn't look at it too long because I knew that he could always bump it. But maybe moving this pawn and getting the knight, like if you're here, maybe get the knight here. And then, yeah, maybe something like that. Like I can go here, and if he continues with this plan here, maybe something like this. and he doubles, which is a problem, obviously. But knight here, he could take one rook off if he wants. But at some point, I can get a knight here, which is extremely annoying because then my queen can come in here and look at this square, so he'd have to take it back. So I might get enough pressure where I can where I can force an exchange back. And I mean, he's still the computer's saying this is an accuracy and still giving a 3.5 pawn advantage. So obviously I'm lost here. I mean, I think at this point, looking at the game's a little bit silly. This actually sort of saves it, yeah. Yeah, and this is funny, and I did actually see that this might save me. Look at the evaluation change to minus 5.9 now. I've had this kind of thing happen to me before too, where you're attacking. I mean, he had his way basically for almost the whole game, and yeah, this actually. Okay, so then I now I blunted the mate. It's a mate in 13, so it's understandable that he didn't see it. I figured there probably was a mate. There's no way I would have found it on my own, except that there's ways of drawing the king out with more checks, and that's probably what I would have tried if I was on his side. But yeah, I think putting the rook here was kind of where he started to kind of lose it, even then he was still obviously winning. So I had to go to a5. So my concern here was something like this, where I didn't want to take here and allow this, because now I'm doing something like this. Whoops. And is that mate? I don't know. So I would have had to have taken this with the king, and then I felt like, I mean, okay, you've got pawn pushes. I mean, I didn't look any further than like this. Well, here I get checked here. Here might even be worse, because the queen's coming here, so I might have to do this. I mean, but this is kind of funny where now I'm almost like, my king is almost becoming an aggressor. So I don't know what the evaluation is here, but actually now he might be in trouble if he did something like that. So for the same reasons in the game. Okay, so let's see this famous mate in 13. Can we see that? Oh, this is mine. No, I want to see. Wow. Yeah, you'd have to find that first, which I guess eventually you might find because it might be forced to protect that. But what's amazing to me is that part of the mate? Like, are they saying that the pawns are going to promote or something? Like, what is... Yeah, we're gonna have to throw that in. Maybe I'll make another video, but mate in 13. Okay, well, anyway, obviously I should never be in a position where I'm running around with my king like that. So, okay, so he missed the mate. Checkmate after. Okay, no, this was the move he was supposed to play. Yeah, is this gonna give me the? I want the live computer. Oh, okay, this is play against the computer. Checkmate after queen d7 check. Okay, so this is the first move. Instead of this, play this first. So this was, I think I briefly mentioned it in the game, was that if I go back here, then maybe here, and now you're threatening mate in 1. Although I feel like, couldn't I save that? So there must be a lot of forced moves here. Maybe this is just a repeat. Sometimes the computer repeats once. Can we see this here? So I guess if I'm forced to play this, then it makes sense. So that must mean that if I go here, oh, queen here maybe? Yeah, then queen here, then I'm going to come back here, then rook here, and yeah, then I believe that there must be a way with the queen and the rook, the queen coming back at some point with check. That makes sense. All right, so okay, so he had to find the queen move first, actually, which is a little bit tough sometimes. Like when you're looking for a forced checkmate, to look for, well, that was a check, but I was going to say sort of a quiet move. I guess it wasn't a quiet move. That's really hard to find, the non-checks, but to find that first one, probably I would have also been looking for pawn moves. I mean, I have to admit that's probably almost exclusively what I would look at. But getting the queen onto a better square first, and remembering that you have your rook attacking too. But yeah, where's after your check? Where's the king going to go, and can you force him back? So the whole idea is like force the king where you want him to go. And if you can't see a mate in 13, like most of us can't, still the basic idea of getting the king into a more vulnerable place is usually going to lead to good things. So that means that I do have to play this, and in that case, then the game's over. Because even if he just does something as simple as trading queens and taking the pawn, then he's in a totally winning endgame. But yeah, that would obviously be, you know, the rook has to stay on this file now, because if it ever gets off, then this rook's coming down, and that's mate in one. So obviously the game's over that way. It's just a matter of time. So there you go. That's how he could have finished me off. All right. So anyway, yeah, now I guess he looked for a couple minutes and he couldn't find something, and he was just frustrated. Like maybe he was thinking of coming in here, but I mean, he saw this at this point. Whoops, not that obviously. He saw at this point that he was in trouble, but yeah. So yeah, he had to do this here. And yeah, once he loses his only passed pawn, it's game over. So yeah, I thought this was cool. That was like probably the one cool move I made the entire game, was to not take his rook, because this actually is a little unclear, because I lose that pawn, and also he's got a passed pawn with a queen on the board still. So even though I've got the rook and my king's unsafe, it's tricky. He might be able to make me give up material back if he gets behind that pawn. So I don't know. It's probably still winning for black. It's just not as easy as it looks. But I thought it was cool that I did this instead, which is the stronger move, of course. And then I didn't really have time, but this all feels like it's that's probably not his third mate. Is there a better mate? I don't know. Missed mate after this takes here. That's funny. Oh yeah, because you're threatening to just queen there, and he still doesn't actually have a check. So even though what I did was technically wrong with the king back here, where I put it on the wrong square, okay, he had to find a mate in 13 with like a somewhat less intuitive move to start with. Whereas, like, from a practical perspective, I just knew that he didn't have easy checks at this point, and that his queen and his rook were going to be disconnected. So I created some practical chances, even though I was totally lost. And that's the best you can do in that situation, I guess. It turned out to work out, but I obviously didn't deserve that game, but I'll take it. And hopefully that was still kind of interesting. We'll have to look at in another video how to play against the Vienna Gambit, because it does come up sometimes. So I'll have to look at that F5 variation. All right, guys, take care.